Hello everyone, and thank you for tuning into our Inspire Video on Demand session. I'm Anil Nagraj, VP and Head of Data Engineering, a sustainability evangelist at Cognizant. In this session, we'll also hear from Rocky Latka, CTO of SoftVision, and Deepak Ramchandani, Director of Strategy and Transformation at Contino, both of which are Cognizant companies. Today, we are here to talk about sustainability, a topic that is important to all of us as we share this beautiful planet, and how technologies and green development processes can help us build a more sustainable future and measure our impact. To quote astrophysicist Adam Frank, Earth will survive, but we may not. This shocking statement makes a lot of sense in the context of today's topic. We continue to increase carbon emissions daily, deplete natural resources, and cause water temperatures to rise. If we don't make adjustments now, Adam Frank's prediction may come closer than we think. But the good news is, we have begun to heal the ozone layer. In our lifetime, scientists say that it will be completely healed. This proves that we can turn things around if we all work together, and the opportunity to do so is now. I'd like to share a customer story today to demonstrate how building better software can improve the health of our planet itself. Cognizant and Microsoft work together to support one of our customers in water treatment plants. This primarily purifies water for daily consumption. They manufacture compact bioboosters, and they often have challenges in maintaining them. Downtime of these boosters has a big impact in the region's water supply itself. Cognizant built a digital twin on Microsoft IoT technologies, leveraging a HoloLens and edge computing to better support maintainability of these bioboosters. This award-winning implementation leverages AI to achieve clear business benefit. Purely by predicting and scheduling regular maintenance, we were able to be proactive, which helps sustain water purification without any interruptions. We also provided expert advice to the local technicians to make systems efficient by consuming less energy and delivering more output. Local technicians equipped with this digital twin solution also reduce the need for experts to travel from one country to the other, reducing carbon emissions. This is just one example of how a company can start creating sustainable business. Every business is unique, and we all have something to contribute towards building a more sustainable future. Cognizant has invested in building capabilities to support our customers end-to-end, from advisory to implementation. We have partnered with world leaders like Microsoft to inspire and change to the core thinking of our customers itself. Most of our enterprises customers have already built sustainable objectives, right? And we have in fact helped many of our customers think through those objectives and build those strategies itself. Taking the next step in putting the plan into action is the hard part. And we can accelerate that with our deep industry domain knowledge and focus on sustainability itself. To monitor your impact, your actions need to be measured, whether you're focusing on reducing your emissions or building a stronger diversity in your workforce. Having a data strategy around your initiatives and consistently measuring progress is a necessity. Cognizant can help with strategy, implementation planning, and continuous measurement, and improving your sustainability itself. Now I'll hand it over to Rocky, who will walk you through how to measure the progress of your sustainability initiatives. Rocky, over to you.
Thanks, Anil. That's a great example of how technology can make a big difference in a company's carbon footprint. Hello, everyone. I'm Rocky Latka, CTO of SoftVision, which is a Cognizant company. To dive a little deeper, I'd like to discuss the use of cloud and how we architect our software and how these things can reduce carbon and resource consumption. In 2018, Microsoft published a white paper with some interesting information about how the Azure cloud is often more energy efficient than traditional data centers. This shouldn't be a surprise. Most of us can't build our data centers in mountain valleys or experiment with putting our data centers under the ocean in order to take advantage of natural cooling or other resources that can optimize the way that the data centers run. The study found that when the Microsoft Cloud is used, software is maybe 22 to 93% more efficient than on-premises solutions. And when we factor in their use of renewable energy within the Azure Cloud, it's over 72% more efficient. Regardless of whether we use a public cloud or other data center, the density of software on each server is an important metric for energy efficiency. For example, increasing server load from 10 to 40% obviously increases the work output by about 4 times. However, it turns out that it only increases energy consumption by less than 2 times. So as a result, you can see that the more dense, the more software we run on any physical server, the better off we are from an energy and resource consumption perspective. Server density is largely a function of how we architect, design, and build our software. Decades ago, we tried running mini apps on individual servers. Dependency conflicts, versioning issues, and complex upgrades proved that this was not a workable solution in most cases. As a result, around 20 years ago, we started leveraging virtual machines. This way, a single physical machine can run a few virtual machines, and each virtual machine can run a single app. This solves the deployment and dependency issues, and it provides some increased density in terms of the load on each physical server. When we look at moving to the cloud using lift and shift, we're taking legacy software and moving it into the cloud. And so we obviously gain some benefits by running in a more efficient cloud like Azure. But most legacy systems are limited to old server-based or virtual machine-based architectures. So their gains are limited in terms of what we can get there. Today, we're rapidly moving into a container-based development and deployment model. Containers provide much higher density than virtual machines, and therefore often result in less energy consumption relative to the work completed. To gain these benefits, it's usually necessary to re-architect legacy systems to be cloud native. Now, it's likely that the next step is serverless or function as a service. This software architecture can provide even higher computing density, but at the cost of even more substantial changes to how we build software. I'll finish by suggesting that you take a look at the Azure Emissions Impact Dashboard. Microsoft provides tooling that we can use to help measure and monitor the impact as we move to the cloud and as we re-architect our software to be cloud native and therefore more efficient in terms of resource consumption. Now that you know how to measure your sustainability impact, I'll pass it over to Deepak to talk about how green development processes help you maximize that impact.
Thanks, Rocky. Hello, everyone. I'm Deepak Vensi. I'm the Director of Strategy and Transformation at Contino, which is also a Cognizant business. So building upon from what Rocky said, measuring and visualizing one's sustainability posture is a great starting point. However, in order to truly achieve one's sustainability goals, we really need to go a step further and implement what we call green engineering and development practices that can actually help us move the needles when it comes to one's sustainability targets. I often like to use a phrase here from Bill Gates, which is quite applicable to this scenario, which is people often overestimate what can be done in 1 year and they underestimate what can be done in 10. When it comes to sustainability and green engineering, we find ourselves in a very similar dilemma, where with digital technology and cloud-hosted workloads now driving a huge part of the global technology consumption, it's now within our reach as practitioners and technologists to make design and technology choices that can truly help reduce the internet's massive environmental impact. The design and technology choices, for instance, that we make during the creation of a digital product or a service, including where and how it's hosted, the approach when it comes to data transfers, can actually have a huge impact when it comes to the energy consumption. Now, we can go a step even further and we can look to improve, for example, user interactions by optimizing and sunsetting end-of-life products, and also by improving what are the actual services that we're consuming when it comes to building our digital products at their very core. So, for example, as Rocky mentioned, by consuming when it comes to containerization type services or serverless workloads, we can truly reduce the environmental impact of the workloads that we're now building and consuming. But furthermore, enterprises can now actually take a step forward by improving what we call their digital hygiene, by better partnering with organizations such as Microsoft, because in today's world, the role of a supplier, that of a provider, and that of a builder truly needs to come together to build what we would call a sustainable digital supply chain. There are 4 key areas that organizations could certainly look to improving as part of building their digital products and services, and these include green hosting. For example, where does the energy actually come from to power your servers? The good thing here is Microsoft's done a lot of the heavy lifting for you, so you can rely upon them for that. Performance, findability, and last but not the least, usability. Now, in order to accelerate one's build of a sustainable digital supply chain, the role of Microsoft becomes even more critical, because by adopting what we would call a shared sustainability model, we can rely on Microsoft to look after the sustainability of the cloud, whereas an organization consuming Microsoft services can look to build a sustainability through the cloud. So it truly becomes a two-way partnership between both organizations. Furthermore, with Microsoft's commitment to power 100% of their cloud data centers by 2025, we can truly let Microsoft do the hard work, and organizations can focus their efforts on green engineering and software engineering practices to build their sustainable digital product sets. Now at Contino, we call this what's known as the 3 R's of sustainable engineering, which comprises of reduce, reuse, and recycle. So reduce primarily comprises of reducing things such as your run cost by right sizing and using just-in-time computing, by reducing the waste in technology. So we often say measure twice and cut thrice. But it also furthermore helps you reduce your time to market by cutting down the amount of time it takes to provision infrastructure, and it significantly frees up more time for innovation and enabling more growth opportunities. But also reducing things such as your data cost by, for example, better applying deduplication methods and deduplication thereby your ecological cost of the storage that you have been consumed. Secondly, reusing, and in this case, the 2 examples that we use is reusing things such as infrastructure and reusing code. Safe to say there's a fair amount of best practices out there that organizations could just reuse and run with, as opposed to having to reinvent the wheel. And this very much comes back to our 3rd point as well, which is recycling. So again, when it comes to best practices and when it comes to business processes, safe to say organizations could do a lot more when it comes to automating these processes and reducing the amount of hot air that they might have within the business, and thereby further improving their engineering practices and technology choices. So to summarize, it is vital that all of us truly come together to help deliver a greener, more efficient future, using the incredible opportunities that we currently have to our disposal by combining modern ways of working and the power and speed of cloud, and furthermore our improved abilities to collaborate, as perfectly demonstrated during COVID-19. We can all help and build that vision and make it a reality of that sustainable future that we talk about and that we all hope for. And we hope that you will all join us on this journey. That brings us to the end of today's session. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed our session today, and we'd love to talk to you more about how you can leverage the power of Microsoft Cloud to truly help build a more sustainable future. If you'd like to know more, please visit us at mbt.cognizant.com and get in touch.